Hello everybody! Welcome to Quality Sewing and Vacuums. How do I today? I am so excited to share this new skill that I just learned with you about shirring. Not to be confused with smocking. Smocking is a super fun technique that takes a long time. So I'm going to show you how to do this with the stretchy elastic thread that is so much faster. Here, let's look over here at my table, and I've got a few examples right here. I made these little jumpers for my daughter right here, and in the waistband area right here it called for some elastic, but instead of putting elastic in, I put shirring in the waistband right there, and down at the little legs right here it called for elastic, like a big thick band of elastic, but I just put a couple of lines of the shirring in here too, and she's super excited about that. Let's look at the shirt that I have sitting here as well. This is what we're going to be working on today. We're going to be finishing this other sleeve. And so I'm going to show you how you can do this shirring. This is like the new popular thing right now. If you aren't really good at like altering your clothes and you've got a funky body shape, I think we pretty much all have funky body shapes, right? In one way or another. But this is all it's all stretchy in the middle. How cool. I made this for my girlfriend. She is a glorious double D, and she's voluptuous and nothing fits her very well. So I was really excited to make this for her. This shirt is actually just made out of quilting cotton, but because of all that stretchy elastic in the middle, it's going to fit her perfectly. So I'm going to show you how you can get this glorious effect, and then I also did it on the sleeve right here, and show you how to make it beautiful. But first, what I want to go over is how you get these beautiful results, how to prepare your fabric to get to this point here. So I've got this table right here that we're going to look at, and I have two cutting mats on my table here. These are the Quilters Select. Let's see, which way are we going? These are the 24 by 36 inch mats. And I found that cutting clothes, one just isn't enough. So I actually have, embarrassingly enough, I have like 6 of these at home. And I can make my cutting area as big as I want to. So today I actually set out 2 of these medium-sized Quilter Select cutting mats, because I wanted to show you, like this is the sleeve that we're actually going to be working on right here. See how big and fluffy it is? One of these just really isn't going to cut it. So I put 2 together. I just kind of butt them up right there in the middle. And then I lay my fabric down like so. And this is just kind of a sample, so you can see how this works. And I lay out my pattern like so, and you can see that it's going over both of these cutting mats. And so this is really going to open up so many possibilities of what you can cut out. Now I have them the long ways together, so it makes kind of more like a square, but if I switched them like this, so they were long, you could put those along your, like a regular dining room table to get like a pair of pants cut out. That's what I do when I cut out my pants. I switch them the long way. So it is very handy to have multiple cutting mats, believe it or not. Like I said, I have 6 at home. So I also wanted to talk today about the new Quilter Select Rotary Cutter, the 28 millimeter size. Now, I have multiple sizes, and you'll want different sizes for different things. But this little one here is really great for cutting around your curves. You can see I've got this big curve here. I've got these little tiny notches here and the armholes. This tiny little blade is going to make those cuts and those angles just really nice as you go around the angles and get these little tiny corners and notches all around. So that is what I use. I love the Quilter Select because it has weight to it. It's heavy. I don't feel like I have to like really push down into my cutting board. And one thing that you want to remember with your cutting boards is that they are called self-healing boards, but you are making cuts inside of your cutting mat every time you use this on here. So it's not really healing itself, it's just reshaping itself into the shape that it is made into. So one thing you want to keep in mind is to always have a fresh blade on there. You know that your blade is getting dull if you can start to see little fibers like pushed into your mat. So at that point, you need to definitely, for your sanity, you want to make sure that you have a sharp blade, because a sharp blade is just going to just roll right through your fabric. And one other indication of a dull blade is that there's skipped little fibers along the edges of your fabric. Okay, so that is the first part of getting started in making perfect shearing. Let's move over to the Laurastar iron, because this is going to be the next part of getting your fabric to the position of shirring. Okay, here we are. I purposely kind of stuffed this into my bag on the way here to make it nice and wrinkly, because I wanted to show you one of my favorite parts of sewing. My husband got me a Laurastar for my birthday a couple of years ago, and a Laurastar iron, and it has been one of my absolute must-have tools because it makes your fabric, can you see? I don't know if you can see how wrinkly this is. Oh yeah, you can kind of see it in the front there. That's kind of super wrinkly. The cool thing about it is this is a whole system where this iron is actually attached to the board itself right here. It has a boiler down at the bottom there. So the water starts down at the boiler. It comes up this tube and it's heated a second time as it comes through the hot plate right here to make micro steam. And that micro steam seeps into all the little fibers of your fabric like instantly, and it makes it flat and crisp. Not only is it amazing for your apparel fabrics, but it is amazing for quilting. It makes your fabric so crisp and flat. Okay, so let me show you. When you get it started, you want to make sure that you're clearing the line. Sometimes it gets some condensation here in the line, so you give it a little press on the side over here. Did you see that? Woo! Isn't that so cool? This is a cool feature of this ironing board, is it has a fan and it's blowing up. And when you're doing like, oh, hold that thought right there. I'm gonna grab this. Can you see how there's all these gathers and ruffles right here? I'm gonna lay this aside. And like on my shirring here, I needed to go and kind of iron through some of this. And when you turn this on, the fan is going to lift up my fabric, and I'm steaming my fabric as I go. The iron itself wasn't actually pressing down, but it was floating it right above here, and it turns on when I turn the steam on. Now let's say I don't want it to do that. I'm going to press this little button right there, and it's going to do the opposite, and it's going to actually suck the fabric, suck the fabric down, and it's going to suck the steam down with it. So I can't wait to show you. Are you excited? I love how it preps my fabric so nicely when I need to. You want to make sure that you pre-wash your fabric, and when it comes out of the dryer, it's all wrinkly and it's kind of like, whoa! And you want to, part of that preparation process, look at that. Isn't that amazing? I'm not sure if you can see really well the difference It's kind of white, but there's a huge difference between this wrinkly side and this crisp, sharp side right there. I'm going to move this down and do the same thing up here. When you pre-wash your fabric, you don't have to do like a whole regular cycle. I'd usually just throw it into like a 15-minute quick wash and then just throw it in the dryer so it doesn't take very long at all, because I never want to wait to start my project. So I do the quick one, but look at how crisp and flat that got, like lickety split too. I have never had an iron that has made my fabric so smooth and crisp so fast. And I just want you to know that my husband bought it for me, but it is by far one of his favorite tools as well. Okay, so let's go over to the sewing machine. Oh wait, hang on just a second. We're gonna stay here at the iron, I lied. Okay, so the first part of this curve up here is the shoulder right here, and then this bottom part is going to come down here by my arm, and it's going to be a finished edge. So I'm going to use the fabulous Laurastar. We are also going to be putting the shirring down here through this long end right here, but first you want to finish your edge right along here first. Okay. I'm totally eyeballing this 1/4 of an inch right here. And I'm just bursting the steam as I go. That one's a little wider. Oh, look at that. Isn't that amazing? Look at how flat that came out instantly, and it's totally staying. A lot of times I've had other irons where you go and you iron it, and then as soon as the iron leaves its presence, it like goes bling and it pops back up, but not with the micro steam. Oh, it's awesome. Because when I want to do a project, I want to do it quick and right and consistent. So I have my little tool here. It's going to help me find 1 1/4 inches. Actually, let me double check here and make sure that's what I did on this side too. Yep, 1 1/4 inches. And I'm going to measure out along here so we can finish up this edge and move on to our cool shearing. All right. Once again, I'm going to use those microbursts of the seam. And I'm also pressing down on the iron as I go as well, because when you press down on your iron, you are telling those fibers that that's where you want it to stay. Oh, look at that. Look at how amazing that stays. It is so crisp. Like the first time, like I don't have to go over it again. I don't have to use any special maneuvers on it or anything. It is just ready to go. Okay, now we're gonna go over to the sewing machine. Okay, come on over here with me. And, oops, wrong pedal. We're gonna move that pedal over there. We don't want that pedal. I'm actually gonna put this guy over here. It'll wait over there for a minute. Hold on. I got the wrong color of regular old thread in there. Let's see. Oh, that bobbin bolt, bobbin. Ah, here we go. Here's one. Did you see my sleight of hand there? I got rid of that one, lickety split. Okay, we've got everything threaded and we are ready to go. Hold on, what is that doing? I want to make sure that this is, aha. Okay, we're all threaded and we're good to go. I'm going to send that down, send it up, and I'm going to bring my bottom bobbin thread up to the top to make sure we don't do any kind of nesting underneath. Okay. I love these little red dots on here because that's my 1/8 of an inch mark that I like to follow my little edge here to get that really nice finished look. Let me see. Is this activated? Yep, they're activated. So I am activating the knot at the beginning, knot at the end, and the scissors. And this is going to be important because we're going to use it with regular thread, but when we move to the elastic thread, we're going to turn off the scissors. And I'll show you why in a second here. Okay. I press that button and it knows to knot and cut itself. Isn't that awesome? And usually in that couple of seconds of it doing that, I'll like pick up my scissors and make sure that I'm cutting something, or I grab the next item. It gives me a couple of seconds. Okay, so I've got this nice finished edge right there. Now I'm going to show you how to do the bobbin and shearing. Are you so excited? Okay, I'm going to take this out. I'm going to hold this in my bobbin case. So you will want a bobbin boat. We have all sizes and shapes of bobbin boats, but when you are doing your bobbins with the elastic thread, you want a bobbin boat because this is the elastic thread and it doesn't stay wound on its little bobbin. Okay, so I utilize this little guy right here. You're going to use a lot of bobbins as you're making your projects, just because this is really thick and not a whole lot goes on there. So I usually wrap up about 4 and put them in my bobbin boat, and as I finish them, I just stick them right here as I go. So anyways, I can refill it later. Okay, I'm going to look for the little hole at the top of my bobbin right there. I'm going to stick the tail in there, and I'm going to hold the edge with my fingers, and you're just going to wind this by hand. Now, if you try and wind the bobbin with elastic thread, with the automatic winder, you will be sad because it stretches it out way too much. So you want to do this by hand for sure. Okay, we're going around and around. And if I know I'm going to be doing a project, I will wind, like I said, 4 or 5 of my little empty bobbins all at one time, so I can just keep going with my project. And that's good right there. So I'm going to hold that loose end and I'm going to cut that extra tail off right there. Okay, now if this was an extra one, now this is just elastic thread. It's not like the thin elastic that you would use on your face mask, but this is actual elastic thread. Now I hold the little end like this, and then I pop it into my bobbin boat. And that way I have like a little collection of bobbins already ready to go, and it keeps that from unwinding, because if you let go, it just comes all off of that. Okay, but I'm going to pull that out for now because we're going to use it. Okay, so you can do shirring on any sewing machine. There are some tips and tricks that you need to know to make it successful. And don't give up the first couple of times you try, because I was unsuccessful the first couple of samples that I made, and then I figured the trick out. So I've got my little thread tail out this way. I'm going to pop it in. And the most important part of this bottom part is making sure that your thread gets caught in the little tension down in the bobbin. You will know if it is not in the tension in the bobbin area because it won't be gathered. It'll just kind of look weird and not gathered. Okay, the next thing that you want to do is do your needle down, needle up, And then I like to put the foot up as well. And we're going to pull up that elastic thread through the bottom. It's in my tension down below. I've got both tails at the top. And now we're ready for a sample. Are you ready? I've got this little piece of fabric right here. We're going to test it out to make sure that it's going to work. Oh, I almost forgot. You want to make sure that you start with a knot and you end with a knot, but turn off that cutting option because it doesn't work. The teeny tiny little blade under there is meant for just thread, not elastic thread. It'll just kind of like, oh, and give up. It won't do it. So just turn it off. So, okay, let's go. There it goes. It started with a knot. We're just gonna stitch down this side. And I'm getting close. Oh, it worked. Okay, so we're gonna hold that thought for a second and I'm going to tell it that I want it to give it a knot. Because I'm gonna show you this technique that I learned that I really like. That way you don't have to cut the elastic thread so much. Look! How fast was that? It was so easy. Okay, so I'm just gonna give it a little tug like that. And I am going to set it back down right beside, I'm just using, let me see if I can get my stiletto out here. I'm just using the edge of my foot here and here as my guide. You can make it as wide and as thick as you, or thin or thick as you want to, but it seemed like the edge of the foot worked really great for that. Okay. I'm going to put that back down. I'm not going to cut my threads because this elastic thread is kind of a bugger to work with, like starting and stopping it. So we're just going to make this continual S as we go. And as I'm sewing, I'm also pulling this out. I'm fussing over here and I'm pulling this over here. So I'm using both of my hands while I'm sewing, just gently kind of flattening out that fabric right there as we go. And you can't sew too fast. Oh, you know what I forgot also? You need to adjust your tension to 3 or above. But if your fabric is thicker or thinner, you might want to test it out and see what tension will work good for you. But on average, it's about a 3 tension that you will want to adjust it to. Okay, that's a good spot to stop. I'm going to press that. Now, one thing that I love about the Pfaff is that I can tell it what to do. I know I talk about this all the time. And the Bernina also has this feature where you can tell it what you want to do by your pedal with your foot down below. So your hands are free to maneuver things. If I had one of the little leg thingies, I could also like lift it with my knee. It has that option here, but I didn't think about that until just now. That would actually be a cool option too, to add on there. Okay, so you can see that I can just keep going. We'll do one more little line here. We knotted it, just following it down, stretching it out just a little. Getting to the spot where it looks good to stop. Okay, then I'm going to lift it up. I'm going to pull it out because I'm pulling it out this far, but check it how much is actually there. And when you pull it out, you want to definitely make sure that you loosen that elastic thread. Otherwise, it'll just go bing right back inside, and we don't want it to go back inside there. Okay, so look at that. We got 3 little lines of our shirring on there. It looks good. This is the same quilting fabric as this. So let's give it a go. Oh, yes. Would the IDT option work on thin fabrics and attaching the elastic? Remind me of...
That's that one clip that comes down on the back.
Oh, is it not there? Oh. Yes, actually, I didn't even realize it was up. Yes, it actually does work. Now I feel silly that I didn't know what the name of that. I just call it the walking foot back there. I call it my friend. That's what I call it because I love that foot back there. Let's try it out and let's see. Because at home, I use my walking foot back there and I didn't even notice that it wasn't down there. All right, so let's get started. I'm gonna grab this and make sure. I did 3 rows. I did 3 rows. So we're going to do 3 rows on this guy too. We're not going to go too fast because it is kind of a thicker thread and it takes a minute for the machine to like go down and grab it. So I'm not just blasting through here. Slow and steady does the trick. So with this being like a new kind of like a revised technique, I should say, because this has been around for quite a while, right? People are experimenting with different fabrics. I even saw shearing on that stretch velvet the other day, and I thought, ooh, that would be so fun to try out. So this is just quilting cotton that I'm using to make my friend's shirt with. And I think it's turning out so cute. I think she's really gonna love it. She just got her first job as a teacher. And so it'll be a great work shirt for her. Okay, well, ending that, gonna just lift the foot right there. I'm gonna just slide it over. And the little jumper pants that I made for my daughter are made out of knit. Now, there is a difference between the fabrics when you make them. The thicker the fabric, the less of the gathering it's going to do. Like this cotton gathers really well because it's pretty thin. But I noticed that it didn't gather as much as with my daughter's knit that I used. And if you're familiar, if you're in the area, I made that with fabric from Amanda's Bundles. Okay, pull it out way far, but then relax that elastic. And voila, look at that. We now have that part of the blouse. Isn't that so exciting? Okay, we're gonna jump over to the serger right here. And I am now going to serge these raw edges, both of these edges right here. Now, if you, I've heard a lot of people say, me and my serger are on timeout. Where am I? Oh, you're over here. Me and my serger are on timeout. We're not talking to each other right now. And if that's the case with your serger, then it's time for you to get a serger that you are going to love. My very first serger was like a hand one that you had to do all of the tricks to it. I had 2 colors of thread. I had black and I had white. And whatever I was sewing had to fit underneath those 2 colors because I did not want to change my threads. Ooh, I am sewing with it already. And then my husband also brought me home one of these baby locks that is an air threader, and it changed everything. It is such an amazing machine. If you want to upgrade from yours that's like you inherited from your grandma or your mom or something, or you are actually, if you want to just start trying serging, this is going to be a good place to start. I know these are on a great price right now. This is the Baby Lock Victory, and this is one that I have. This is one of the sergers I have at home. And I love it. It's such a simple machine, and it does a beautiful job like every time. And it takes like, I don't know, a minute to change the thread. So I have a whole variety of threads now. Okay, let's get going. I'm just going to serge right over those edges. All right. And I'm going to leave some of the tail, but not all of it. We're going to go over to the other side. And look how it just goes through the fabric like butter. It is so amazing. Where is this thread coming from? Hold on. We're going to cut that little guy out there. I'm not sure why he's in there. And we're going to trim this end as well. But what I love is my sergers in the past have like got this scrunchy thing going on where it like kind of scrunches it as it goes. But you can see with the Baby Lock Victory, the locking threads just lay super flat and do a beautiful job. Okay, we're going to jump on over to the sewing machine again. And we're going to sew up these sides. I'm going to take out my elastic thread. Don't forget to take it out once you've got it in there. Okay. And remember that bobbin boat, you want to put it in your bobbin boat so it doesn't fly away. Okay, I'm going to grab my little thread here, or my bobbin thread. Okay. Needle down, needle up. We're going to bring that tail up. Maybe you're going to come up. Thinking about it. There it goes. It's like really stuck down there. Okay, there we go. Good machine. Okay, I'm going to sew these at 5/8 of an inch. Right here. And since I'm not doing a top stitch anymore, I'm going to bring the tension back down to 2.5. Oh, but I also want to remember I want it to cut at the end because I'm not using elastic thread anymore. I'm using real thread. Okay, and I sewed right over the shearing right there to make this sleeve. I'm going to line those up right there. Put those together, getting towards the end, push my little button to stop it, and cut it. Oh, it almost cut it all. Okay, kind of some fine thread down there. Hold on. Just a second. It's like something is shredding that. I don't want it to shred. There we go. That will not make for good sewing. Come on, thread. I see you. It's down there. Doesn't want to come up. Come on. Technical difficulties. Thank you guys for hanging in there. Oh, there we go. Okay. It's being shy on the camera today. All right, so when you're sewing, you want to make sure that you trim your threads as you go. Always trim. And I'm going to trim these guys just a little bit more. And then I'm going to open up the seam right like this. I'm going to take this little tail and I'm going to fold it down. And then I'm going to sew right on the top there. And I'm just going to stitch it, top stitch it down. And this is going to make just a beautiful cuff, I guess. Just a little bit, not very much of a little top stitch, just to tack it down. Okay, there's one. I'm going to do it to the other side. I'm going to take those little tails, going to put that down right there. I'm going to top stitch on this side too. It's going to give a beautiful finish to our shirred sleeve right here. I want to make sure that it's not longer than the outside. Just a little tack right there. Awesome. Okay, let's trim all these little threads. Trimming your threads also makes your work look professional and tailored as well as you go. All right, one. I'm just putting those threads anywhere. Okay, so now look at that. Isn't that beautiful? How nice and smooth that looks. We'll flip our sleeve. And just like that, we have the other shirred sleeve for the other side of the shirt. I'm not going to sit you through the final production of it. I'll turn around over here so I can talk to you over here. Okay, here we go. Isn't that exciting? You just helped me finish up the sleeve for my shirt here for my friend. Isn't that gonna be so cute? And then, so I wanted to show you really quickly the two different techniques that I use. So I adopted this blouse from another pattern. So I used two different techniques of how to add the shirring. So with this one, I found a pattern that already had elastic incorporated into the pattern itself. And I knew that there was going to be like a little casing where I would slip the elastic through, but instead of a casing, I just so I cut all these pieces out first, and then I sheared it. Okay, and all these little places where I knew there was going to be elastic. You can put that right there. So for my friend's shirt, what I did is I took her measurements, and shearing scrunches things up 50%. So if she was 20 inches wide, I want to make sure that I make the fabric 40 inches wide, so when I shear it, it will come down to 20 inches. Right? So what I did is I just cut a piece of fabric the length that she wanted the dress, the shirt. This is a shirt, not a dress. It kind of looks like one. And then I sheared the whole top right here. And I just, wherever it called for like darts or like curving in the pattern, I just ignored that. The only part of the pattern that I actually used was the little armhole right here. That's all. And then instead of finishing the top right here, how they asked for in the pattern, I used the blind hem. No, I'm sorry. The rolled hem. The rolled hem setting on my serger that took like 2 minutes to switch over to, and I just did the little ruffle at the top on my serger. So anyways, so you can see even with cutting through, I'm not sure if you can see the inside. This is the inside, and here's all the elastic, all the little rows and rows of elastic right there, and I just cut right through it to make my pattern edge right there for the armhole, and I think it turned out really perfect. I didn't have to do darts or buttons or zippers or anything, and it's going to fit her perfect. And if you want to add a little like tag like this, at any of your local stores, we have these little Sarah Hart's labels, all kinds of them. I literally just sewed it on there, bloop, and you can't see the stitching on the other side. So add your label so you know what is the front and the back, because they look exactly the same. They're slightly different, but anyways, any other questions? Awesome. Thank you for joining me today. I already have so many of like my own kids and my friends that are like, oh my goodness, I want to learn how to do that. That looks like so much fun. And will you make me another shirt? Alrighty, so I hope that you find a lot of joy and excitement in shearing and having the right tools to make it happen. Have a great day, and we will see you at our next How Do I.